two song sparrow or fox sparrows, and it's a name that I carry that's actually not from my culture. It's actually a Haida name. I received it in Haida Gwaii in 2015, and I carry it with the permission of Sid Crosby, not the hockey player. He's a hereditary chief in Skidegate in Haida Gwaii. But my English name is Jennifer Sheriff. I was born Jennifer Hill to Dale Reister, my mother, and my father is Arthur Texas Hill. My father is Salagi and English. My mother is a big Canadian mix of lots of mixed European heritages and Mongolian. My mother is the daughter of Joyce Reister, who lives here in Surrey. She'll be 100 this year. Still lives on her own. She's very healthy. I've got some of those genes. And the late Lex Reister was my grandfather. So that's from my mother's side. From my father's side, my father, as I mentioned, is Arthur Texas Hill Jr. His father was Arthur Texas Hill Sr., the Kentucky Salagi people. And my grandmother was Ruby Elena Hill. We were celebrating International Women's Day very recently, and I was really thinking a lot about the women of my family and the women I surround myself with. So many strong, wonderful, beautiful women here. I surround myself with friends, female friends that build each other up. And I think it's very important to celebrate, of course, our women, but to also acknowledge our men and our two-spirited people who also hold us up. We have to have that balance. And so when we introduce our families, we do it with that balance of equal pride and equal acknowledgement of both sides. But I would like to really honor and acknowledge today my great-grandmother, Ivy Blood. She's been on my mind a lot since International Women's Day. Ivy was a survivor of the Indian Holocaust, or the Trail of Tears. We were almost 500,000, my father's people. We were the largest tribe in the United States until contact, excuse me. And as many of you know, 90% of our Indigenous people were eradicated after contact. So the fact that I had ancestors that survived the contact and the colonialism itself, and then the fact that I have, I'm a direct descendant of such a strong survivor of such a terrible Holocaust, is something that I really am proud of and celebrate. I'm also Ashkenazi Jewish from my mother's side. So it's an interesting, all day I've been thinking about coming here. I was very excited and thinking about a few things, but thinking of especially the fact that we can gather today. I know some of you are from other places that have also been colonized. But for us here, you know, under the Indian Act for a long time, Indigenous people of a gathering of 2 or more in public was not permitted. And people were jailed or fined or worse. And so it's never lost on me the fact that we are, first of all, such a beautiful mixture and rainbow in this city and on the Lower Mainland. I grew up in the Okanagan in Seal Territory, not multicultural at the time at all. And so for someone looking like this with all these cultural, you know, ancestries and taught to be proud of all of them, it was strange growing up in such a place. So when I acknowledge the land, I really hear, I think a lot about the fact that we can all gather together, what a privilege that is, and yet at the same time it's our inherent right and not a privilege, but the fact that we are here and doing it because, you know, 40, 50, 60 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do this, right? And the fact that this land is really nurturing me. I'm not from here, I'm a visitor here, so that's why I can't welcome you to the territory. I can acknowledge the territory because this is not my territory, but yeah, just the fact that we are all here, we're together, we're this wonderful mix of people, intergenerations, racial and mix of heritage and races is just such a wonderful, beautiful thing. And we may have problems here, definitely, that we need to get rid of. That's why we're here together today, right? Because nothing is perfect in the situation, you know, socially in which we live. But we're very lucky here in this territory. Very lucky in that we do have such cultural mix, because there's the opportunity for such wonderful education. And this is the land that has nurtured me as a parent, as a single parent, as a learner, as a teacher. I'm a full-time teacher at Aswell, at Squamish Nation. I also have my own company in Digivision that works on reconciliation in lots of different ways. So very grateful that I can do that work here and that it's received so well here, which is great. This land has nurtured my spirit. It's nurtured me in so many ways, and so I hope it has for you. I hope it does for you and will continue to do for you, nurture you and nourish you in every way that you need, because where we are and place-based is so important. So I would like to raise my hands in deep thanks to the Semiahmoo, the Katesy, the Kikate, the Tsawasin, the Kwantlen, and I know I'm missing other Coast Salish peoples. I am so sorry about that. Depending on where we are in Surrey, we're overlapping. Today it's 6 territories. It can be up to 9 territories. So want to raise my hands in thanks to the Coast Salish families for allowing us to gather here today on the beautiful territory on what turned out to be a beautiful day. It was so questionable this morning, but that's so good for the spirit as well. And just to raise my hands in thanks to each and every one of you for being here today, because you being here means you're the change and you're the wonderful, positive people that are coming together to make such great change and to educate other people. So really thankful to each and every one of you, and especially to our hosts. So thank you so, so much. And I hope you have a wonderful evening.
So March 21st is a day that United Nations decided in 1960 to commemorate or to remember every time. It's the day for racial discrimination, elimination of racial discrimination, right? And racial discrimination can be in form of many ways. We all know what it is, but we slightly and sometimes we miss to see how it's done. And then we accept it, and then we get all the negative feelings within us. So today our panelists will discuss a lot of details, and you might have questions. You can ask those questions. And now I will invite Camilla Singh, who has organized this event, who has hosted this event. I'm just part of a team to talk, okay? She's the lady behind the scenes. So please welcome Camilla Singh from Asian Health Company.
Thank you, everybody. But before I have a little bit of a speech that I want to welcome you all. But before that, I would like to call upon the Vancouver and Lower Mainland Multicultural Service Society and the board, Sonia and Haji. They have a gift to give it to our speaker of First Nations. So if you come in here, she will be gifting you this.
We're very grateful for your wisdom and the tireless effort in, trying to eradicate and fight against racial discrimination. We're grateful that you accepted an invitation as well to be part of the panelists. So thank you so much.
Anyways, welcome to our anti-racism event. Asian Pulse have been a leader. We have been doing this work for last 20 years. But we do it with different organizations. Before we did in Vancouver, and then Surrey, and then back to Vancouver. So we've been all over the place, and just because of the pandemic, we kind of slowed down, but now we are back. This day should not be forgotten. This is a very important day for all of us. So this year we teamed up with PICS, Progressive Intercultural Community Services Society, and I don't see anybody from there. They were here this morning at the City Hall, but they are coming later. And with Vancouver and Lower Mainland Family Support Services Society and KPU. So these are three different organizations that we teamed up to make sure that we observe this day. As most of you in this room know, that we all are people of color, except the mayor. Most of us have faced some form of racism. Whether you are a high school student or international students, when you go out and talk to people, people laugh at you because of your accent. You haven't been bought or gone to school in here. So we all have accent. Or else you go to your job and then you are not treated the same, or you have accent. People talk about it and it doesn't sit very well. But as we see all of us, this is Canada, and it's built on immigrants, and we want to keep it this way. We want to make Canada a very diverse country. In the next 5 to 7 years, I don't have to stand in here and talk about Anti-Racism Day, because we all be able to live free from all forms of discrimination and racial discrimination, and we will all be free to live in a country where there is no such things like anti-racism work that we need to do. So I hope and pray that in our lifetime and in our children's lifetime, that this place will be free. We don't have to face racism. Another thing why we're doing this in here is we are giving voice to those people who don't have a voice. There are so many people, they can't speak up. I can speak up, Hajit can speak up, Mayor can speak up, and panelists can speak up. But the people at home or the schools, they don't have a voice. They don't think they have a voice, and nobody hear them. So this year's theme is humanity and not racism. On this day, March 21st, the theme is humanity. We need to treat everybody equal, and we all are together. So I know that some of us in this room, if the panelists are talking about their experience or they must have faced racism, I really want you to take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself means Hajit is here. She's a RCC, she's a counselor. If you want to talk to anybody in here, or you just want to step out of the room, self-care is very, very important. We all want to be welcome, but if something comes to you, then we want you to be taken care of and take care of yourself. So I want to highlight on that you don't have to sit and listen because something might trigger you. Having said that, I am done. I'll pass that. And she's been with Asian Pulse for the last 3 years. And she's taking a little bit of break, but we will never let her go away. So we'll grab her wherever we can. And that's what, yeah. So thank you.
Thank you, Kamila. We need to have that energy. Anyone in the room would like to volunteer about the history or something about this event, this day, March 21st? Does anyone know what actually happened and why we started commemorating this day? Not from the panelists, they are I will not put you guys on spot. So in 1960, there was a mass shootout by police on people who were peacefully demonstrating, or they were doing any kind of protest. Sometimes you form So now in this country, we have that privilege to protest peacefully. No one fires on that. So there has been improvement, right? That is what we are trying to do. We are trying to bring that improvement every day. And definitely your contribution is a must. And as she was saying that I get busy is because I have my feet in other things. I'm definitely a life coach. You can ask for anything. I am also an immigration consultant. That's where I make my money. But I do events. So, and I'm older than many of the people in the room. And if I could be of any assistance, please come reach out to me. But we have a panelist that's just Like even if I give whole introduction and if I spend a whole day here, it would not be enough. Very few faces you know, most of the faces you have seen in other events, I have seen, maybe because I host a lot of events. So I personally don't need their introduction, but this introduction is for you guys. So take a note, as these people can be of some help to you down the line. So I will start with Mr. Rizwan Abbas. You can raise your hand. Garrison Duke. So we have Garrison Duke. Jennifer Shire already introduced herself. Comfort. Annie. How could I miss her? If I have missed her, then see, everybody knew I missed her. Okay, so I would like to invite our mayor on the stage first to give us a brief introduction, not introduction, but to say a few words on this day. Please.
Well, thank you for the land acknowledgement, Jennifer. It's always important for us in Surrey to recognize that we are here on the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, and it is with all that grace that they give us that we get to live, work, play, build, do all the things we do, go to school in this city that we all cherish. When you were talking, I was thinking of what is Canada, and yes, I look white, but I am also an immigrant to this country. My family is an immigrant. My extended family is Chinese, so as much as life is maybe different or easier for people like me, that look like me, I also remember when my family, who is part Ukrainian, in the day in Alberta, Ukrainians could only meet in groups of 3 in Alberta. And my dad was told he had to change his name because he worked for what is now the Toronto Dominion Bank, and they weren't having any Ukrainians working in high places in the bank in those days. So I grew up with a name that wasn't the same as my grandparents, but I never really understood why. And that was partially because my dad and my mom is Scottish, and apparently everybody loves the Scots, at least that's what my mom says. So, but she had a Ukrainian name. It wasn't going to cut it, and so they had to change their name. And I grew up with a very British name, which isn't really who I am. So that's always interesting. There's always we all have stories. Mine isn't painful, I can tell you, but it was for my parents a long time ago. This is Surrey. We are gifted in our city. We are gifted that we are such a multicultural city, and we say that sometimes without really putting a lot of energy behind those words, and that's something that I'm hoping that our administration, our government is going to change, because we know for all kinds of good reasons, including economic ones, that really engaging with different cultures and all of the richness of culture, what it brings to a city, and we see that every day in Surrey. We see that with events. We are going to see that in the coming months. Well, the end of the month, I think, with Ramadan. We're going to see that with Vaisakhi. We're going to see that with Easter. We're going to see that with just about every celebration we have here in the city of Surrey. And you can come to city center, to the center block here in the summertime, and we have days where people come out, and I had my first Jamaican patty out here, never had it, but I'm telling you, if I could find out where to get them, I'd do those things every day. So, like, food is an important thing to me, as you can probably see. We won't go down that road today. But it's the joy of being able to celebrate all of those things, including food, including just the dance, the arts, and everything, and embracing that in a real way and making sure that we as a city are reaching out to everyone, because everyone in this city matters. They matter to me, that's for sure, and I know they matter to our council. So we're always going to do stuff wrong. I'd love to tell you we'll do everything right. We can't, but we're sure going to try. We're going to try and do the right thing when we can. And there was about 3 years ago, I guess, Quebec came out with a decision where they were going to say nobody, and in fact they did do that, nobody can wear religious emblems or any cultural symbols. And Surrey was the first one, and I brought it forward. We cannot support that. We oppose that, and that means people can't wear a turban. I can't wear this cross because I'm a Christian. Other people can't wear whatever religious symbols they choose to wear. That's not who we are. That's not Surrey, that's not Canada, and that's just wrong. So, you know, my staff are always really good. They give me, and it was pointed out to me, I use really big font because I don't see so great anymore. But, I do want to say on behalf of City Council, we do celebrate and recognize, and maybe celebrate isn't the right word, but we certainly recognize and embrace International Day for Elimination of Racism. It's important. It is. You're right. You know, it is truly important for us to all pay attention to that. We live right now. We all live in a very turbulent world, and it's sad. And you know, I was sad recently to hear that the happiness index, I don't know if you saw that, for people in Canada is going down. So I was saying that to staff today. How do we change that in Surrey? How do we change that to make us a happier society? And the only way is to embrace everybody and to know that you matter in our city. If you live in this city, you matter to the city, and if we're able to make that embracing of the culture, your culture, that's good for everybody. So, are you looking? Am I missing any words? Am I doing? That we will keep on trying. We need to make sure that the mosaic that is our city remains, that it remains a mosaic. And I think when we look at our neighbors to the south, they talk about the melting pot. We are not that. We are a mosaic, and that's about cherishing everybody's value, and that's important. That's important to me. That's important to you. That's important to our council. So I just want you to have a great dialogue here with these wonderful people, and enjoy the evening. And please, you know how to get a hold of me. It's pretty easy. It's mayor@surrey.ca. I mean, how easy can that be? Thank you.
Thank you. Canadian Muslim of Indo-Fijian descent. He is an archaeologist for the Semiahmoo First Nation, and he's also the director of the Indo-Fijian Cultural Society of Canada. That's applaudable. You have to clap a lot, okay? And he sits on a number of advisory committees, including the Historical Discrimination Against People of South Asian Canadian Descent and the South Asian Canadian Museum Engagement Committees. Rizwan has been working in culture resource management for the past 25 years. And after being inspired by the reconciliation efforts of British Columbia's First Nation, Rizwan began to research his own Indo-Fijian heritage and history. And Rizwan will be the guest editor for the upcoming summer 2024 issue of BC History magazine. Showcasing the Indo-Fijian culture using their own words, people, stories, and ideas. Now, who won't love that? Is library getting a book? Yes, and we all are getting one. Writing is the best way of expressing yourself. If you're not like a public speaker, or if you're not like me, write. That's the best way. Garrison Duke, another visionary leader in the field of community development with more than 20 years of experience. Currently, he's serving as a diversity chief operating officer. That's cool. He uses his extensive experience to advance the organization's goal and make sure that complete services and activities are provided with the goal of empowering undeserved areas. Garrison tackles complicated societal issues by focusing his academic understanding with a pragmatic approach, because he has earned MBA from Simon Fraser University, so he has to take advantage of that. His dedication to igniting meaningful social change is demonstrated by his leadership in diversity. Who all know what is diversity? Who is diversity? Again, for the people who are new in the house, it's an organization that helps and support new immigrants to Canada.
That's correct.
Correct. Garrison received the Surrey Now Leaders Community Leader Honorable Award in the Above and Beyond category, demonstrating that his efforts were not in vain. And your efforts are not in vain today. In addition to his administrative duties, Garrison is a passionate supporter of inclusive community services and often represents diversity in the media to draw attention to important social concerns and solutions. His appearances on a variety of news programs such as Breakfast TV, the Georgia Strait, CBC Radio, and Novus Entertainment highlights his impact and commitment to activism. Jennifer, I told you guys she has already introduced herself, but something that she missed, and I know that she would miss it intentionally because she's an award-winning Indigenous anti-racism educator. She has many years of experience working as an instructor, curriculum developer, and administrator within the public K-12 system, post-secondary institutions, and on the reserves. Jennifer founded, the name of the magazine is Injustice?
Indigivision.
Indigivision
is the company.
She started that in 2023. Wow. Working passionately with both Indigenous and non-Indigenous population across Turtle Island as an educational leader, consultant, and bridge builder. So there is always a beginning at any time. You guys can start your own anti-racism event next time. Comfort. She's one of our distinguished panelists today who's joining us. Thank you. She has a certificate in publishing from Yale University and a bachelor's degree in political science and equity studies from the University of Toronto. How come you were in 3 different places? Wow. Great. So already multicultural. As the Center for Diversity's manager at Mosaic, right now, she is essential to developing and enforcing internal rules that support inclusion and diversity in the workplace. She makes sure that these rules are not just created, but also implemented. A lot of time, we ourselves create rules in our life. Oh, I have to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning, but I never wake up. But she makes sure that the rules are followed, but bigger rules in terms of inclusion and diversity. So Comfort assumes external responsibility for providing clients with diversity, equity, and inclusion training, which is very important. For any new immigrant, this inclusion training is very important. Thank you. Comfort is the first Black woman named to the Vancouver Police Board by the Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia. She represents areas that have historically experienced excessive policing and inadequate safety. Comfort has a foundation in international development and has contributed significantly to to a number of projects in Asia and Africa that have improved institutional efficiency. With that, I would take further. Have I introduced everyone? Annie.
You don't have to. I can introduce myself. So let's start nice and simple. I'm just your average high school teacher, and then people laugh. No, but I am a high school teacher right here in Surrey, LA Matson Secondary. I'm the Indigenous department head. Here's my academic background: criminology, political science. Start with that. Education, and then a master's in equity studies. If you need awards, I'll give you awards. Like anti-racism leader from the province of BC, recently top 10 global teacher award. What else is there? There's a lot. Anyways, but most importantly, I'm an anti-oppression curriculum specialist. I do work in the community. I organize, protest, all of it. I do believe that education is liberation. I believe that anti-oppression is a lens that we must build together and that we must use always in everything we do. And that the 3 R's can never be effective if they don't have an anti-oppression lens to them. So whatever I'm teaching, from French to law to social justice, whatever it is I'm teaching, I want my students, I want their families, I want our community to know that we be empowered through identity. We believe in intersectional. Actually, one of my students is here wearing the shirt. Intersectional empowerment for all is the name of my own little group, Mustang Justice. And that certainly, last but not least, I am a settler on these lands. My family, I'm a Sephardic Jew, so Arabic Jew of Moroccan descent. I'm white passing, I'm a queer educator, and then overall, like all the intersectionalities are super important. So our education is most powerful when our parents, our communities, our students, our fellow educators feel safe and feel that we can change the world for the better. The systems are never built for people like us, and so we must transform those systems. And I can promise you that our youth are absolutely on the right path to doing so, and it is always an honor to be able to do that work day in and day out. And shout out to some other fellow educators here, all of them incredible, legendary human beings in the Surrey school system who continue to do the work of anti-racism every day.